All right, my guest is Bob Chapman. Second half of our recording here. Bob, you mentioned that a lot of the organizations out here, let's take the Tea Party and the Occupy Wall Street movements. Tea Party especially. Let's talk about that. I got kicked off of a Tea Party website, and I never said a word. I just got kicked off, and then suddenly they tried to demonize me in the NAACP. And I thought the Tea Party was, I got a little bit of surge of hope. Maybe, look, they've gotten off their armchairs, they've gotten away from the TV, they're out there trying to do something. And then I see Sarah Palin advocating war with Iran. How are these groups being infiltrated? Who's doing the infiltrating? What's happening?
Well, I think in that case it's the strict Christians who believe that we must save Israel. And they were the ones who were the more powerful positions in that movement. So that was the outcome of that. The whole Occupy movement was set up by Soros and his fellow communists. And anybody who wants to look into it can find, who the players were. The minute I saw David Denninger's name on there, I knew downright well this was a communist movement. And it is.
I just did a story not too long ago on McCarthy. Got a book on McCarthy. And they demonized McCarthyism. They made us into McCarthyites for talking about the communists. So the communists really got control of all of our media, don't they?
Well, there's a more specific way of saying that. And that is the people who run industry in Wall Street and banking, they control the media. And they tell the liberals and the communists, etc., what to do. So that's a far different story and simpler to explain.
Can the Americans rise up? If they can't unite, if they let little simple things divide them, what options do we have? Just education. I mean, that's the only thing we really got going for us, is educating the people so they can stand up to these communists, understand what it is. I mean, it's like how can you define something if you can't even describe it, if you don't know what it is? I mean, they used to tell us communism was bad, but I don't recall anybody ever telling me what the 10 planks were on the Communist Manifesto.
Well, I understand that, but they won't believe it. A lot of people are in denial. They just don't want to believe it.
What is it that Hoover said? The average man is totally confounded when he runs into a conspiracy so vast he can't comprehend it?
Well, conspiracy, that's something they won't buy either. See, the nature of people is they really don't want to do anything because they're frightened. And you make them do things. And how you do that is you shoot at them or something like that. Then they finally get the message. But they don't have any weapons, they don't have any food, they don't have a house, they don't have any cars. And how can they fight back? They can't.
So they file onto the box cars to be taken to the relocation camps, the homeless camps, right? And that's what they've got set up here, don't they?
They get it all in place. And there's very few people on radio who talk about this.
Very few.
Because they don't know it, they don't understand it. And it's disappointing.
How can anybody not understand this? I mean, you know, I have studied this for years. I mean, I don't expect everybody to devote the amount of study and reading and interviewing thousands of people that I do. But I can't understand. You know, it's like common sense. You know, you look at the 9/11 thing and go, what? You know, if you had you pull building number 7, it's how can people not be able to see this or comprehend this? I mean, there's been film after film after film, history after history of the bankers and their influence in the wars, from the French Revolution to the Russian Revolution to, you know, 9/11. I mean, why? How can people not understand? How?
Well, first of all, a lot of them are stupid, and they never will unless shot at. There are a lot of great intellects out there who can't get out of their own way. There's a lot of people with great knowledge who don't know how to fight in the streets, so to speak. And so you have a myriad of different reasons why people can't absorb that and act on it.
Is there anything that we as a people or as individuals can do that we haven't, we're not already trying to, people aren't trying to do? I mean, there's patriot groups popping up all over the country. You know, we've got militias, according to the ADL. You know, the whole patriot movement is expanding, and oddly, they think that's a bad thing. Bob, why's that?
Mm-hmm. Well, they would. They're working with the internationalists, and so that's the direction they would go in.
Let me ask you about the whole drug thing. You know, I in my book, Mystery Babylon, The New World Order Unveiled, I talk about the CIA and the Mossad running the cocaine into this country. We know they ran heroin into this country during the Vietnam War. We know that our military is guarding the heroin in Afghanistan, which is supplying 90% of the heroin worldwide. And we got the pharmaceutical companies feeding Americans Prozac. Now they're trying to go after the veterans that are come back. Well, they've got post-traumatic stress syndrome, so we need to drug them too. Ron Paul even said we've got a drug problem in this country. It's the pharmaceutical drugs. More people die of pharmaceutical overdoses than all the cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine in the country. More people die from pain medicines or Valium or something like that. And I keep thinking back to the Boxer Revolution when England started bringing the heroin into China. Isn't that what's happened? Is that what's happening to America now? What's the situation? How should we even handle that? I mean, there's a 200,000% markup on some of these drugs that are advertised on your local Super Bowl channel.
Well, the people behind the scenes control all the legal drug companies for the most part, just like they control the media. And then they control the illegal drugs. They do that through the banking system. And, of course, there's places, like you mentioned, like Afghanistan, where they grow this $350 billion a year crop of heroin, and the largest producer of marijuana in the world now.
Who's that now? What?
So,
Repeat that?
they are the largest producers in the world of marijuana.
Which country was that?
Afghanistan.
Okay.
And then you have the other groups, all of whom are tied in with the drug enforcement, U.S. government, CIA. Believe me. I mean, what do you think? Mexico's having such problems for the last 4 to 5 years. The government says, well, we're going to play ball with the Americans and try to do away with the competition within the drug trade. And that's why you see the war going on. It was unsuccessful.
They went after they went after the Medellin cartel in Colombia, but they replaced them with the Cali cartel. Drugs didn't stop. Control of the drugs changed.
So they get paid, and they run the money through the banking system. And every once in a while, Citibank and Wells Fargo, banks like that, Bank of America, get caught. And they fine them $100 million. Well, who cares? They just stole $3 billion.
What the
cost of doing business.
40 years ago, I mean, while we're on the subject here, 40 years ago, I wrote a novel about the United States in a future when all laws against victimless crimes had been abolished. Now, we've got a larger prison population today than any other communist country out there, any country out there. And we've got 40 million people that have been busted for a victimless crime in this country. What if we just legalized all the drugs? Why don't we let people just buy and sell? If you want to go down the border and trade marijuana for cocaine or tomatoes for heroin, do it. You know, you want to kill yourself, go over in the corner, sit over in that corner there and kill yourself. What about that? Would that work? Would that stop this control and these banks making so much money off of it? I mean, if they're importing it into the country, bringing it into the country, selling it to you or your children, and so they can put you in jail? Is that what's happening? Is that what should we do about that? And no politician will touch it.
Legalization is the only answer.
I mean, how can you go ahead? I'm sorry.
It takes control away from the bankers and puts the control with small dealers. And everybody competes for having the marijuana machine in your market or something like that. Or they have special stores.
I'm not particularly happy. This whole drug war is a false word, just like Ron Paul said publicly. And anytime a man with a badge can walk up to you and say, "What do you got in your pocket there?" "Oh, you're going to go to jail," then you're in a police state. I'm sorry. It's and this whole war on drugs, just a way to make money. The lawyers make money. That's a British, that's a agency. It shouldn't. Whatever happened to the 13th Amendment? I mean, titles of nobility enforced. Maybe we should try to bring that back too, huh?
No. But you see this ongoing attack coming day after day after day. As I said at the beginning of the program, SB 1813, keeping people from traveling in and out of the country. Unbelievable.
What's this next election going to do? What are you? What?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing will change. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you vote Republican or Democrat. Two wings of the same bird, isn't it?
Right. Ron Paul has been cut apart from the ability to say what he has to say. Although the other day he had a speech at the University of Michigan. 10,000 young people turned out. He's the man that should be president. And if he's not, Congress isn't going to change without his leadership. And if he's not there, he can't supply it.
You said 10,000 people showed up to hear who? Ron Paul?
Yeah.
And you don't hear anything about him in the media. In the mainstream media, it's like they just try to marginalize him. And they're even doing it in the Patriot movement. They say Ron Paul is not talking about 9/11 now. He's, you know, again, even the Patriots are trying to disown him. And the Tea Party's attacked. The Tea Party's actually attacked Ron Paul and me for supporting him. I mean, that was really discouraging to me, but...
No, it shouldn't be. Because after the election's over, you'll find nothing's changed. And then we'll head deeply into a situation where, you know, revolution's at hand.
Now, somebody else asked me, why is the USA establishing bases in Australia?
They want to take over and use as a jumping off point the Caicos Islands. They're starting out 2,000 Marines. I think they were near Darwin. And then they'll get permission from Australia to move over the Caicos. And they'll be they'll be able to send planes and drones and so on, and be able to service ships in that area.
All right. What about Syria?
Very,
what about Syria and Iran? Are we? Is Israel moving us into a conflict there? And is there anybody that's against that? Against involving us in another war?
Well, yeah, they are. But if they're just going in now, it's going to take them a couple of years to effectively set up their offense there. So what they've got to do is keep this Syria Iranian thing simmering with combat for the next 3 or 4 years while I put Caicos in place. I explained it in my issue coming out tomorrow.
Good.
Which was written by Jim Corbett. Which was written by Jim Corbett of the Corbett Report.
All right, let's talk about that. We got about 4 minutes left, 4.5 minutes. You know, you're listening to Bob Chapman. He's the international forecaster. He's going to tell you how you can get a subscription, and you can join the heads of state around the world that subscribe to Bob's magazine. Is that correct, Bob?
Right. The international forecast is about business, finance, economic, social, political issues all over the world, published by email on Wednesday and Saturday. And we have a hard copy because that's why some for those who are not on the internet. Everything you need to know each week is in that publication. If you'd like to receive a free introductory copy, you can go to theinternationalforecaster.com. The International FORECASTER.com. You can also go to INTFORECASTER.com, intforecaster.com. For those of you who would like to ask a question, and we answer everyone, all you have to do is, also you can, at this address I'm going to give you, you can get copies of the Forecaster. And for those of you who are interested, my recent report on gold and silver shares. Now that address is Bob, B-O-B, at INTFORECASTER.com. And for those of you who would like to call, toll free, 877-479-8178, 877-479-8178. You can get copies of the publication there. And for those of you who want to become subscribers, we have a very special offer there. You get a free 1-year subscription to the International Forecaster. So if you want to be a subscriber, that's the best way to do it, and the deal that they're offering is really terrific.
And we've got links on the freeamerican.com website. You can hear the show, pass the show on to folks. Click on Bob's name, and under that is the International Forecaster. All you got to do is click on it. Bob, thank you so much for being with me.
Well, you're welcome. See you in a month.
All right,
thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let me do this. You've been listening to the Free American Hour. I am your host. I am Clay Douglas. FreeAmerican.com. Tell your friends, we can beat this.
It's coming down. It's coming down. New world orders, training armies on our ground. With soldiers dressed in black and blue to aim the crosshairs of their guns at feeding.
All recording has been completed.
Lives way up in Idaho, whose sole desire was only to be left alone. One day he sold a so-called friendly gun.
Discover what's really going on in the
Federal
news.
troops showed up and shot his wife and son. It's coming down. It's all around. The New World Order's training armies on our ground. Stormtroopers dressed in black and blue to aim the cross